Hello and welcome back to the channel. Well, another delay, another problem. Been wanting to repair the frame on the Silverado, and so the battery's old and I'm keeping it charged up, and I came out today to check it, see if it would start, and it wouldn't. Dash lights come on, all that stuff. The headlights come on, they look strong. Did some internet searching about jumping a wire on the relay and tapping the solenoid on the starter. So I'm underneath over there, and the wire that comes out of the starter body that goes to the solenoid is broken off of the terminal. I'll show you if I can here. You see this wire right here? Well, that stud, that's the topmost one, that's where it attaches to. And I was using a piece of rebar to reach back and tap on the solenoid. And when I did, I just slipped off a little bit and it jostled over and hit that wire. And it just moved. And I don't know if I can, I can't even reach back and get that. So it's totally off of there. And so I just figure I'm gonna replace the whole starter and solenoid. So that's what's gonna do. So I don't know how much of this I'll be able to film, but I can tell you that here's a connection. This is probably the low oil sensor for inside your dash, when you're low on oil. And I was fiddling around with this, trying to figure out how this unplugs. And you gotta take a device like this really skinny screwdriver right here, and you put it right in here like so. And you gotta finagle this back. You gotta lift this little flap up, because you see that little square part right there, that's the locking tab. Alright. You just lift up on that a little bit and you can pull this out. If I can get it to lift out. I did it once before. There it goes, see? I kind of like caught the back of the plug there. Just, whoop, that comes right out. And then there's a long and a short one, bolts that hold it in, and then the round part that you normally see, it's inside the transmission case. So I gotta get the appropriate socket, start working on getting them bolts out. So I have a 99 Silverado with a 4.8 liter. And when I was looking on YouTube and some other forums, there are some that got same size bolts and some that got long and short, and obviously I got a long and a short. The inboard one is the short one, the outboard is the long, and they appear to be cadmium plated grade 8 jobs. The outboard one seemed tighter. There's a video out there, YouTube channel TLQ, like an official sort of mechanic's guide. They said like 30 foot-pounds that these were torqued to. So I got the starter loose, and now I'm gonna try and get it out of position. I wish I could film this, but I just don't have the right kind of camera mount to do so. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. It's loose, right? So let's see if we can get this thing out of here. Of course, there's all kinds of cables and whatnot behind. So it's moving pretty good. I saw in another video where somebody had to use a pry bar to kind of like shove it back and out of the way so it actually come out. I don't know. This is gonna work out. Hitting something here. The cables, there's all kinds of stuff. You lift it up maybe like this and then try and get it back. Yeah, that's working out a little better. Pushing it up. Back. We're almost there. I don't have a pry bar, but I got a big old screwdriver, so let's try that. There's like a cavity here. I don't know if that was made for this, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to use it. There we go. Coming down. Part of this too is there's a heat shield on top of the cylinder. I want to take that off. There we go. Now let's see what we can do. So yeah, you can see the wire. I don't know if the camera's showing. But there's a wire right here that goes connected, comes right out of the starter, right, and goes to the solenoid, probably activates it to activate the starter. And when I finally get this thing out, we'll take a closer look at it, I guess. Alright, so now I get my light, because I can't see much now. Okay, here we go. So there's an 8mm. Where's the thing at? So here's the connections. I don't know if it's going to focus or not. But there's an 8mm and a 13. I'm going to take those off and I'll be able to get the starter out. And so here we are. That wasn't too hard. This is the reason why the starter don't work no more. The cable, the main power cable that goes to the motor is just corroded off the eyelet. So, there you have it. Okay, so we're back at this starter. I've come to find out that there are not 2, but 3 of those little bolts holding the solenoid on, and here's the one at the top. And it's hard to see. If I can lean back, you can see that one down there, and there's one over there, and there are Torx, right? So I have, and unfortunately, I don't know if I mentioned in the last cut or not, the trigger wire post snapped off during the removal, and so I'm thinking about how I'm going to work around on that. And so I am going to repair this thing, or try to get it functional and put it back on the truck and see if it'll work. And I'm also going to buy another one too, and I'll keep this one as a spare. So I've already started on that process. I ordered a package of these starter lugs or connectors or whatever. I bought a package of them. They came 5 or 6 or whatever off of Amazon, along with some heat shrink little doohickeys there to put on. And so this just goes right here, right? And this little cable right here that goes into the starter, I mean, it's plenty long enough to go into here You know, and I thought just put this in here, fill this up with solder, it's going to be good to go. So I'm going to continue on to put solder in this and fill this up and finish that little job off. Whoop. Just feeding the solder in until I fill it up. I think we're getting there. What I don't like about this thing, it's got a hole in the bottom of it, and part of it's running out. But if you heat it the right way, you can limit that and get the job done. So I'm trying to localize the heat right on the top here, and hopefully that spreads out down there to the bottom. I think we're just about there. Yeah, that's starting to look good now. We're almost there. I'm going to try flipping it over and do it on the other side. So this is the back side. You can see where it's dripping out, like right here. Oh, fuck. Son of a bitch, I was afraid that was going to happen. Shit. I don't know where to go. Okay, so there it is. I ended up crimping it a little bit because it was just taking forever, and the solder was kind of like blowing out that little hole. It's not very pretty, but I think it's a pretty solid connection. I'm gonna end up, I'm gonna test it, see if it works. So get this thing hooked up. So is this right here? This is where the signal wire connected, and I broke that post off during the removal. So my solution is I'm gonna need a soldering iron for this because I'm not gonna stick. You just can't put all that heat to plastic, it'll wreck it. So I'm gonna get my soldering iron warmed up, and what I'm gonna do is I've got a piece of wire here out of my scrap bin, and it already had a slip-on blade type connector for like a speaker or whatever, already pre-done. I've got some solder on it already, and so I'm going to try to solder this on here, and then on the other end of this right here I'll put another eyelet, and I'll find a small nut and screw and fix this up with the other one, other eyelet in the truck, and I'll wrap some tape around it or put a heat shrink on and do that on the spot, one way or the other, and hopefully this will fix that problem. Okay, let's see if we can do a solder job on this thing. Shit. Alright. Alright, I got it on there. Okay, all I gotta do now is test it. And we're gonna shoot some juice to the signal wire and see what we got. I call it a win. I think we're working. Battery's in. Let's see what we got. Oh, the starter too, right? That was like the thing I was like working on. I'm surprised the battery that originally is in this truck, which is more than 5 years old, held a charge for a couple 3 days while it sat on the shelf while I was doing this stuff. So that's another plus too. So I guess that concludes this video. If you made it to the end of it, thanks a lot. Hope you got some takeaway from this when you're in a bind and got to fix your starter because it don't work no more. I am going to be purchasing a new one. So anyway, thanks for stopping by and watching my content. Have a good summer.